Lewis Hamilton returns to Silverstone. But this time, the symphony of cheers will meet a different silhouette. Not the silver flash of Mercedes, but the unmistakable scarlet of Ferrari. It's the kind of image that sends a ripple through the sports foundation. A British legend, a 7-time world champion, re-entering his kingdom in enemy colours. But this isn't nostalgia dressed in red, it's a proving ground. Hamilton didn't come to Silverstone to bask in memory, he came to disrupt it. For the first time in his career, he's facing the British Grand Prix, not in a car shaped around his needs, but one forged in someone else's vision. And as the Tifosi and the Union Jack faithful clash in the stands, the real friction lies within the Ferrari garage itself. The hierarchy is in flux. Charles Leclerc may be the incumbent, but Hamilton is the instigator. And Silverstone is the perfect crucible. Last year's emotional win in Mercedes colours could have been his farewell. Instead, it may have been his setup. Now, with a Ferrari still learning his rhythm and a team still split between loyalty and legacy, every decision this weekend becomes political. Every strategy call, every pit stop, every sector time will carry the weight of internal allegiance. Because Hamilton didn't come home to wave, he came to win. And if he does, it won't just rattle the championship. It could rewrite the balance of power inside Formula One's most volatile team. The real story at Silverstone isn't just in the colour of Hamilton's overalls, it's in the data streams pulsing through the Ferrari pit wall. For all the emotional weight of a homecoming, this weekend is fundamentally about performance. And so far, the SF25 has given Hamilton moments of promise, shadowed by persistent instability. The Austrian Grand Prix was a microcosm of this balance. Fourth place, steady pace, and flashes of aggression that hinted at a driver beginning to stretch the limits of machinery not yet moulded in his image. But the undercurrent of this tension lies in Ferrari's operational DNA, a team that still leans toward conservatism when the pressure spikes. At Silverstone, a circuit that demands tyre preservation through high-speed corners and precise throttle modulation in unpredictable wind conditions, any hesitation in strategy becomes lethal. And that's where the gap between what Hamilton needs and what Ferrari provides begins to show. Hamilton thrives on dynamic racecraft, real-time adaptability, aggressive undercut windows, split-second pit lane decisions. But Ferrari's strategy unit has often shown a preference for predetermined plans, optimized simulations, and a chain of command that can delay instinct in favour of structure. The key variables this weekend will be tyre life through Stowe and Copse, ERS deployment strategy into the hangar straight, and track position heading into the first round of stops, particularly if we get a virtual safety car early on. Hamilton will see these windows before the pit wall does. The question is whether they'll trust him enough to act on them, because the raw pace may be close, but execution will decide who leads the internal charge. And in a Ferrari garage, where every call feels like a political decision, that execution has never mattered more. Inside the Ferrari garage, the tension isn't shouted, it's whispered. Glances during briefings, the half-smile from an engineer when a question is asked, the delay in radio tone when both cars are on split strategy. These are the signals that reveal everything. Charles Leclerc, Ferrari's golden child, has long operated with the quiet confidence of being the team's future. But now, beside him stands a man who's seen more championship battles than Leclerc has pole positions. Hamilton doesn't need to take control of Ferrari with a statement. He does it with presence. And that presence is pressing inward from every angle this weekend. From the fans chanting his name at Maggots and Beckett's, to the engineers who find themselves double-checking Leclerc's data after Hamilton's debrief, to the photographers who know exactly which Ferrari driver the lens will chase out of the pit lane first. But for all the public diplomacy, the battle beneath the surface is real. Hamilton is not here to ease into retirement, he's here to lead. And that shift, no matter how quietly it begins, threatens the foundation of Leclerc's standing. For years, Leclerc was Ferrari's project, fast, charismatic, and loyal. Now, he's being asked, silently but clearly, to prove his supremacy not just with speed, but with control. And that's the emotional pressure cooker Silverstone creates. Because the crowd may roar for Hamilton, but inside the team, applause doesn't dictate pecking order. Lap times and race results do. If Hamilton edges ahead, even by seconds, the internal dynamic won't just shift, it will fracture. And when it does, the smiles in front of the cameras won't mean much. Ferrari's walls are thin, and ambition echoes. From the outside, Silverstone may look like an emotional detour, a symbolic race for a symbolic driver in front of a partisan crowd. But in championship terms, it's anything but symbolic. It's a pivot. After Austria, The title picture has tightened in ways no one predicted 2 months ago. Red Bull's stranglehold has started to slip. McLaren continues to creep forward with frightening consistency, and Ferrari sits uncomfortably between momentum and confusion. For Hamilton, fourth place in Spielberg was more than just points. It was leverage. It placed him ahead of both Red Bulls on raw pace and kept him within reach of a Ferrari car that, while still tricky, is beginning to respond. That proximity matters because Formula One is measured not just by where you finish, but who you beat. And right now, Hamilton is starting to beat the right people at the right time. With half a season still to run, this isn't about chasing Verstappen. Not yet. It's about positioning. If Hamilton out-qualifies and out-races Leclerc at Silverstone, the implications extend beyond Sunday. Internally, it nudges the strategy team to give him more flexibility. Politically, it encourages the engineers to begin tailoring setups around his feedback. And mathematically, it places him just a few consistent results away from emerging as Ferrari's true championship spearhead, not because of seniority, but because of trajectory. Meanwhile, Leclerc must do more than just stay ahead. He must reassert himself as the driver around whom Ferrari's title ambitions are built. Because if he doesn't, every point Hamilton takes becomes a vote. A vote from the paddock, from the team, from the data itself, one that whispers, this is no longer your car alone. Ferrari doesn't just sign drivers, it inherits legacies. And every time the Scuderia has brought in a world champion, from Prost to Schumacher to Alonso to Vettel, it wasn't just about lap times, it was about transformation. Hamilton's arrival fits squarely into that tradition, but with a twist. He's not trying to rebuild Ferrari from ashes. He's trying to redirect a team that has pace, has potential, but lacks the championship discipline he once cultivated so ruthlessly at Mercedes. That precedent is what makes Silverstone so critical. This is not just a track where Hamilton has won. It's a circuit he's shaped. 9 victories here place him above every other driver in history. And it's not just the wins, it's how he's won them. In the wet, from behind, in dominant fashion, in comeback drives. Silverstone has never been a racetrack for Hamilton. It's been a canvas, and now he's attempting to paint in a new colour. That's what unsettles Ferrari, not just his speed, but his gravity. Vettel experienced it. So did Alonso. Both came in as saviours. Both left feeling the system resisted change harder than it welcomed vision. But Hamilton has always done things differently. He doesn't need Ferrari to conform. He needs them to loosen their grip, to let instinct override protocol when it matters most. And if he can bend that system in front of 150,000 fans screaming his name, history will start to tilt in his favour. Not with fireworks or declarations, but with sector deltas and pit wall decisions made a half-second faster. Ferrari knows this. They've seen what happens when Hamilton feels the crowd behind him. And they know if Silverstone starts to feel like 2021 or 2024 all over again, they won't just be racing McLaren or Red Bull. They'll be racing a legend, rewriting their story from within. Silverstone's feud isn't the finish line, it's the fork in the road. What happens this weekend will ripple through every paddock meeting, simulator run, and strategy call for the rest of the season. If Hamilton delivers, if he puts the SF25 on the podium, or better yet, ahead of Leclerc, it doesn't just change the scoreboard, it alters Ferrari's internal calculus. Right now, development updates are still being split equally. Data is still being reviewed through the lens of parity, but that balance is fragile. At some point, a team must decide whose feedback they prioritise, whose setup direction defines Friday evenings, whose racecraft shapes Sunday's strategy. And that decision starts not in spreadsheets, but in moments like this. At a track where one driver has historic dominance, while the other is still chasing confirmation. For Hamilton, a strong performance at Silverstone sends a message. I am not adapting to Ferrari. Ferrari is adapting to me. That shift is subtle, but monumental. It means his voice gets louder in debriefs, his preferences get more weight in development meetings, and his intuition is trusted on race day without caveats. For Leclerc, it's an entirely different kind of pressure. It means every mistake will be measured against Hamilton's experience. Every slow sector, every missed apex becomes more than just a racing error. It becomes political ammunition. And for Ferrari, the question will no longer be how to balance 2 elite drivers. It will be whether they have the stomach to make a choice. Because as the championship tightens and every race becomes a war of attrition, backing both equally is not strategy. It's hesitation. And hesitation, as they've learned before, costs titles. What's unfolding at Silverstone is not just a subplot in a long season. It's the start of a deeper reconfiguration inside Formula One's most mythologized team. If Hamilton proves decisive here, the rest of Ferrari's year becomes less about equal opportunity and more about gravitational pull. Influence inside Maranello doesn't shift overnight, but it does shift, and the seeds are planted in weekends like this. When the crowd's voice aligns with a driver's performance, when the global spotlight tilts, even subtly, toward one side of the garage, the engineers feel it, the management feels it, and most critically, the driver alongside feels it. If Leclerc finishes behind Hamilton again on a weekend, this emotionally loaded, it won't just be a loss. It'll feel like something slipping away. Not authority, but certainty. The quiet assurance that Ferrari is his team, his journey. And once that evaporates, it's hard to recover. For Hamilton, this isn't about a single victory, it's about cultural leverage. The ability to influence how Ferrari thinks, how it plans, how it reacts under pressure. That kind of power is rarely given. It's taken, corner by corner, through results, through consistency, through the kind of leadership that doesn't ask for control, but naturally assumes it. The long-term consequence of Silverstone is not about whether Hamilton can challenge for the title this year, though he just might. It's about whether this is the moment Ferrari shifts from experimenting with greatness to fully embracing it. Because in the high-stakes theatre of Formula One, drivers come and go. But leaders change teams forever. And if Hamilton crosses the line ahead at Silverstone, the legacy he begins at Ferrari could echo far beyond this season. It could become the foundation for everything that follows. There's a certain poetry to this moment. A legend returning to his homeland, not as a hero from the past, but as a challenger to the present. Yet beneath the symbolism lies a brutal truth. Formula One does not reward sentiment, it rewards clarity, execution, unrelenting intent. Hamilton knows this better than anyone. That's why he's not asking for nostalgia this weekend. He's demanding trust. Not from the fans, he's had that for over a decade, but from the team, now tasked with matching his vision. At Mercedes, that trust was earned over seasons, through championships, through adversity and triumph. At Ferrari, it must be compressed, accelerated, forged under the weight of expectation and politics that no other team carries. And that's what makes Silverstone so significant. It's not just another stop on the calendar, it's a crucible where loyalty, performance and potential converge. For those watching from the outside, the defining image may be the roar of the crowd as Hamilton exits Beckett's, or the sea of red caps mixed with Union Jacks. But for those inside the paddock, the defining moments will be quieter. A pit call made without hesitation, a defensive line held without instruction, a post-race handshake that says more than any press release. These are the details that determine who truly leads a team. And for Ferrari, whose past is littered with what-ifs and missed timings, the question now is whether they can see what they have in front of them before it's too late. Because Hamilton didn't join Ferrari to be part of their story, he came to rewrite it. And Silverstone, his kingdom, may be the moment where that rewrite begins in full. So as the sun dips over Silverstone and the grandstands ripple with anticipation, understand this: we're not just watching another home race for Lewis Hamilton, we're witnessing a defining chapter in Ferrari's future. This weekend isn't about waving flags or rewriting record books. It's about trust, execution, and whether a team long ruled by tradition is ready to be led by instinct. Hamilton didn't come here looking for nostalgia. He came looking for control. And if he takes it, not with declarations, but with decisions, with pace, with presence, the internal shift inside Maranello may become irreversible. The next pit stop, the next tyre call, the next overtake. Each one could be a brushstroke in a larger painting, one that redefines who Ferrari listens to when it matters most. If you felt that tension this weekend, not just between cars, but between ideals, let us know where you stand. Is this the dawn of Hamilton's authority at Ferrari? Or will Leclerc rise to meet him where it counts? On the stopwatch? Comment below with your verdict. #Team Lewis or #Team Charles. And let the paddock know which future you believe in. And if you're following this civil war in red, hit subscribe. Because what started at Silverstone won't end here. The race is over, but the battle for Ferrari's soul has only just begun.